Greetings and welcome everybody to the Dr. Jane Mackenzie Live on a Thursday, where we look at pioneering and leading edge breakthrough health cases and contributing to holistic health and well-being. And I honor all of you who are part of the programs and who are giving it your best from a health and a neurological and emotional and a spiritual point of view. Today, I'm going to be talking about physical and emotional states of order and disorder, because far be it for us to think that anyone's perfect. We are all harmoniously going to go through states of order and disorder, and I'm emphasizing the word harmoniously because we can choose. We can either fight it and resist it and use our brain to drill through and what we may see as a challenge, or we can harmoniously move through it. And hopefully by the end of today, we've done a little bit of cellular shifting and consciousness shifting, and we realize that, challenges, mistakes, hardships, and places where we blame people are actually opportunities for ourselves to grow, which we have set up. And at the end of today's talk, we will also be far more aware of the fact that we set up our construct, we own it, and it's up to us to interpret it, perceive it in that way, that it was our request to learn these certain gifts, to learn the certain things we've set up. For example, to unravel betrayal, to unravel abandonment, to unravel sexual molestation, hunger, indulgence, whatever the disconnect is. So we own it, we must be responsible, and we must shift it. No one's going to shift it for us. And as I said, no use blaming, because it's all our setup. So if we're starting with that premise today, I think we're going to shift wonders. And I'm giving this presentation, I actually gave it earlier today to a top major bank. And so I've adjusted it for organization and family, because it applies to both, obviously, and we are at the center of it all. So you'll see now. And it's always an honor and a privilege to see all of you here. And let's belt it out. Let's get going. I'm going to just go to the slides and open it up. And let's get going. So I'm speaking from the 365 Healthy by Choice Center in Bryanston, and this is where we operate the HIELO reset process, and more on that in the presentation to come, and I will be sharing. So here's our first slide: physical and emotional states of order and disorder. Exploring the heart and the brain coherence through the lens of a holistic health and ancestral wisdom. So this is the Mackenzie HIELO Quantum Wellbeing Compass. Let's see what we've got to offer here. And please, if you've got questions, put them in the chat and I will get to them. So I'm posing some questions, and I would like you to, on a cellular, molecular, atomic, quantum level, consciousness level, just allow yourself to hear what I'm saying. Let it resonate with the heart and the gut. Let's put our mental brains out of our rooms and focus more on stillness and calm and really absorbing these words. So also one could feel trapped, harassed, tired, snappy, overwhelmed, emotional, and mentally disordered. And what I pride myself in, my focus, goal, and aim is to help people think clearly and live productively in all areas of their lives, 365 days a year. How's that? So here we have a lady. She's on a log, and she wants to get through to the forest, but the sticks are in the way. All the distractions, all the obstacles, all the blame, etc. And here's another one where I'm asking, are you stuck in emotional cycles? Self-sabotage, can't seem to shift. Maybe this is your wake-up call. So I'm focusing today on the umbrella, which is the Mackenzie HIELO Quantum Wellbeing Compass. And from a purification point of view, we'll be looking at 365 Healthy by Choice, reset, restore, rejuvenate, and rejoice process, and a physical cleanse with the products. And we'll be looking at the holistic ancestral orientation for individual emotional purification, and holistic business orientation for business purification. And I'll more on that when I get there. So if you feel that this is your wake-up call, you can't seem to shift, you're missing opportunities, listen further. So chaos is natural, all right? That is how we evolve. It's how we got to where we are today. It's why we look like how we look. It's why we think how we think, and operate how we do. And this natural evolution, it's a natural progress, and without it, we wouldn't live, in fact. So the DNA is shifting all the time, the brain, the heart, the gut, and all our organs. The world is shifting, the organisms are shifting, animals are shifting, plants are shifting, and these are the cycles of time. So the understanding and the importance of chaos is it enables us to shift from a place of order to a new paradigm of order, but we have to go through the chaos in order for a quantum collapse to happen so that we can emerge at a higher level of order. So you will never go from order to disorder to back to the same place. It will never happen again. You don't get two opportunities of dipping your foot into the river at once. It will never ever be the same again. And we need to see the opportunities and the paradigm shifts where we're going from order to disorder and into order as opportunities, not as challenges, not as obstacles, not as mistakes, not in terms of blaming someone. We have to have that inner emotional maturity, that emotional coefficient in order to do this. And we need to go within to do that. So you can ask yourself, are the family discussions at home, ending up in order, or are you more scattered at the end of it? Discussions with your sons, your daughters, your partner, and other family members. And similarly at work, in the organization, are the meetings are supposed to bring order, and do you feel more scattered at the end of these meetings? And there's lots of reason for this, in the sense many people require the discussions at home and the meetings. And when I say discussions at home, think of your children or yourself, your relationships, and the meetings in the workplace to demonstrate their authority. Why? Because they're operating from a mental construct from childhood. For example, they've not been seen. So they set up meetings in order to throw their toys out of the cot and be seen. And it actually scatters the whole meeting, the whole discussion. So as parents, I just want to say it's very, very important that you see your children. However, how do you see your children if you don't even see yourself? And similarly, in an organization, how do you see other people? Put yourself in their shoes if you don't see yourself. So it does begin with you. And, there's this coherence within the body. And just question yourself now and ask yourself, is this happening in your family or your organization? And then I've given you an example here of the snowflake going from order, frozen order, to liquid water with disorder, where the atoms are spinning around, and then moving to a higher state of order. So that is the another example to explain to people the movement from order and chaos to disorder. More on that in a moment. So this just crossed my path earlier, and that the heart is about 100,000 times stronger electrically and up to 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain. So why are we sitting in the brain all the time? Why are we sitting in the intellect, the IQ, if that's the case? We're missing out on so much of the power of evolving ourselves, of making meaningful decisions, not making the wrong turn, not having to redo things, not having to keep repeating the same mistakes. So this is a toroidal field. It's a torus and it's a vortex, and everybody's in a toroidal field. Otherwise, you wouldn't be alive. And there's a golden mean coming down and a golden mean coming upwards with the spray like that. And every time the atoms go through this toroidal field, even the heart, for example, every time the blood passes through the toroidal field of the heart, new emotions are coming through, new information, new learnings. So nothing is standing still. It's constantly evolving. And our question to ourselves would be, are we evolving to a higher level of awareness and ultimately consciousness, or are we just stagnating or even devolving? And I'll leave those questions to be answered by you. So when we're looking at the heart, gut, brain coherence, and there we've got the brain, the heart, and the gut. This is our secret to self-awareness and self-transformation. We need coherence here with these major organs. The Chinese call it the three major brains. The brain, which is the observer, the heart, which is the feeling, and the gut, which is the intuition. More than in a moment. But here are some questions. We're talking about EQ now and IQ. So intellectual coefficient and emotional coefficient. So most of us are sitting in the IQ and very little in the EQ, not that emotionally evolved. And for lots of reasons, not part of this presentation. But, what is your balance? Ask yourself, are you living in the EQ? Are you living in your heart space, your compassionate space, your self-awareness, constantly striving to change, raise awareness, deepen into consciousness, more self-discovery, more self-transformation? These are the questions you want to be asking. How much love do you have for your family and your work? Is the family part of your veneer? The family, the home, the car, the holidays? Or are you really unified and coherent within your family? And similarly at the work, is the work just an instrument for a paycheck? So start, thinking about these questions and reorientating yourself and exciting certain electrons and allowing life force to come through and picking up where the blockages can be. What would happen if you woke up tomorrow and loved your family, or came to work and loved what you do? This would be the heart-centered approach. This would be putting yourself out there from a mature point of view to raise your self-awareness, raise your self-transformation. And once you do this within, you're able to give so much more yourself. I think that's the real message. So exploring the emotional coefficient more deeply, this is my real question. I've talked about family and the work environment, but how about you now? Do you have enough love for yourself? And do you love what you do? Is there passion? So questions. Could you be more productive by looking at what you do? By loving what you do. Self-love equals the EQ. That is the heart space. What is preventing you from loving yourself? What are those opportunities that you're not picking up on? So we always want to have a duality, a balance between the left and the right brain, between our organs, the kidney and the bladder, the liver and the gallbladder, the stomach, the small intestine, the pancreas, the lung, the skin, the lung, the large intestine. So we need to have this, the yin-yang emotional balance of duality. And when that goes out, we're going to get disorder. So you can, write your notes here for reconsideration after this. If you consider your purpose now, could it be to bring out your highest potential you offer the family or your organization? Is it an opportunity? Is your purpose to bring out the best you can, as I said, in your family and your organization? Obviously within yourself first. Some people are afraid of the emotional coefficient, but it is the heart. It is the heart, and it's the window to the soul. So the work we're doing is very much soul work. EQ works at the soul level where the emotions are found. And some people have stuffed these emotions so down, so deep, that it's right at the back, 85% of the clients coming in have got back pain, and 85% of the clients clench their jaws. So there's a connection. And that is a high number of people. That is a high amount of stress, anxiety, which leads to sadness, which leads to depression, for example. So we've got to self-check all the time. The body speaks the mind. And I also pose the question here, is your work a distraction? Is your sport a distraction? Is your hobby a distraction? I mean, I know many people that come in that have played a lot of sport in their life and they've excelled at a level that's extreme. And in fact, they're now later years, and they're actually having to face themselves face to face now because that distraction's not there anymore. They can't play at that level. They can't compete at that level anymore. So that falls away, and then they're left with themselves again. So be very mindful of emotions that you're avoiding, because the sooner we clear them, the sooner you're free. The sooner you get better. The body moves from disorder to order at a high level. So guess what? So as many people spend 8 or 10 hours a day at work, not focusing on what they need to. And many people spend 8 to 10 hours on golf courses, doing their sport training, etc., also not focusing on what they need to do. So the big question here is, are you focusing on being calm and silent? Then you can balance your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. Then you can start having inner discussions with yourself, bringing out the innate wisdom that's inside you already, that wants to guide you, that wants to present opportunities to you to grow, as opposed to challenges that are going to make you stressful and smoke more and drink more and overcompensate in too many ways. So you can make a note there as well and consider all the areas where you overcompensate. So where you give more to others, for example. You don't sleep enough. That's overcompensation. You sleep too much. Eat too much. Don't get outside and balance. You're inside all the time. That's also overcompensation. Are you focusing on achieving your destiny from a self and a work perspective? So the heart-gut-brain coherence here is who or what are you now? Are you having fun and laughter so that the brain doesn't overpower the heart? Because the brain is going to bring in expectations, time and expectations into the process, which we don't need, because then we're not in the flow. Then, as I said, we're working in a linear environment as opposed to non-linear, which is the quantum field, which is holism. What do you need to do? And here's some examples, people who are stuck at work. Is your work about expectations? And mostly yes, because mostly work and corporate environment organizations are in the IQ space. They haven't really inculcated an emotional coefficient. And this leaves people to get distracted in that and just ruminate and go over, I should be doing this, tomorrow's another day. Or are you being active? Are your dopamine levels high? In other words, because dopamine levels are the will to do things, whereas serotonin levels are the happiness hormone. So I'm just saying, but it's connected. It's all unified. And so the question is, do what you need to do and get over it, and then give yourself time to be still and silent anyway. Some people are just walking around distracted. Some people are driving in a distracted way. It's actually scary. Because their mind's not doing what they need to do. Drive safely. So at work, you can swing your arms and get funny. It's okay to be funny, and you give other people the opportunity to laugh and be funny too. And you can bring that in the family environment too, especially when you're eating, because that's going to make the food digest. Not sitting at the table worrying about finances and trouble that people cause you, and the children's fights at school and things like that. At dinner time, you need to be talking about fun things, positive things, allowing the food to digest, not sparking the sympathetic nervous system. That's the nervous system where you're running from the line all day. Digestion, assimilation of food, Circulation of food to the cells, elimination is all a parasympathetic nervous function. And if you are running from the line all day, your food is going to be toxic. It's not going to digest. So just to give you another example of the coherence between the heart, gut, and the brain. For example, food. The gut is a filter for the nutrients to get to the cell. They get digested and absorbed through the intestinal membrane. And then they also need, for that to happen, microorganisms, enzymes, oils that you all know about. And the big thing I wanted to get through here is that digestion is a unified process, not only involving the stomach, the mouth, the intestines, but also the liver, brain hormones, pancreas, pancreatic enzymes, blood circulation, heart, breathing, oxygen. So it's completely unified. It's coherent. Our body is a coherent field, just as you saw with that torsion field. And if it's out of order, that's when we're going to lead to disorder and illness. And that's what it's really saying here. If we move from order to disorder, we need to undergo a chaotic change to reach a higher level of order. We can't get stuck in the disorder or the dis-ease, because then you haven't shifted. You haven't used the opportunity that you set up, that you're responsible for in this life, to understand and shift from sadness to joy, for example, or from fear to courage, for example. So we always got to be mindful. Are you stuck? Am I stuck? What am I ruminating over? And once you've stepped over that barrier and you've freed yourself, physically you recover, energetically you recover, and you become, coherent, which is harmonious. The body is in homeostasis, and so is the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. So here's another example of organic coherence, organs of the body, organic coherence. And I'm only using the 3 here. But just to give you an example of the coherence here, the head is the observing, the looking out, the emotional, the judgment, the rational approach to life, the blame, the argumentative. But it's also the place where it's analytical, and you can logical, and 1 + 1 is 2, that kind of thing. I know there's a left and a right brain, but predominantly when we're talking about an IQ. The heart in the middle is reaching out to the world. It's part of the inner life, the emotions, memories, images, visions, dreams, the feeling realm. And then the gut is where the instinct is, the intuition, unself-conscious, immediately practical, direct. Because in the gut, where the Chinese call the gut the second brain, because even the small intestine looks like a brain with all the tubules, this is where we want to make unemotional, non-reactive, non-judgmental decisions. We don't want to make decisions here. When we work in the field with the holistic ancestral orientation, we are working in the heart-gut realm. We don't need to be analytical there. And often I find clients slip into the analysis, and I just say to them, mind out of the room, please. Let's work with the gut and the heart. So we must use the head where we need to and leave it where we don't need it. Because the inner wisdom is in the heart and the gut. So while this is happening and we're going from order to disorder, and there's lovely chaos, you can just look out in the world today, lot lovely chaos. We're heading for a paradigm shift and a turning point within that, which is at a 0 point in the field of consciousness, the universal field, if you like, the quantum field. So we see that. And if we understand that, we can interpret what we see so differently, so unemotionally from the heart and the gut. If you look at the world from your brain side, you're going to have emotions. And emotions are not good for us because we just keep repeating those patterns. We want to be still and calm and view what's happening out there with intellectual, with inner wisdom. as opposed to intellectual wisdom. So within the chaos, we find calm. Choose the analytical brain, or you can let the organs do the work. The organs being the heart, the gut, the lungs, the liver, the kidney, the skin, the liver. So we know we have the intelligence here, but now the question is, how about in the family or an organization at work, allowing your organs to do the work? Wow, that would be a new space. And it requires being calm and still, sensing that there's chaos, an opportunity to shift, and waiting for things to die down, and then drawing on your inner wisdom and sharing that in the family and in the workplace, or wherever you find yourself, organization-wise, even with your friends. So some more wise words. Order and disorder, said the speaker. They each have their beauty. We need to always look within. And I just want to put this slide in because it's just also some food for thought, and it's really where I delve deep into with my doctorate, looking at the quantum mind and the quantum field. And what they've done here is they've looked at the quantum mind being a complex network of interconnected quantum bits or qubits. Very interesting, symbolizing the potential of quantum computing in mental states of order and disorder research. So remember that the EPEX skier that we work with is a quantum device working in real time with the quantum computers. And we're now getting to the point, the last one that I put there, measuring the what ancient philosophers have explained for thousands of years. So this quantum shift is what I worked with in my doctorate, which is in full alignment of what modern day quantum physicists have been able to measure insofar as what the ancient philosophers talked about. Feeling good, well-being, consciousness hasn't been able to be measured. But what we're seeing now is we're getting closer and closer and closer to measuring this. We're not all the way there. We can't measure the 0 point. We can't measure consciousness directly, but we can feel it. So that's evidence in itself. But I just put this in to say, hold on, you know what? There's things beyond our body too. There's a consciousness beyond our body. And another thing to think of, talking about the gut as well, is that food will also stimulate our organs, the heart, the brain, the gut, and all the liver, the kidney, the lungs, the skin. And it's not only about enhancing our physical, look how good we look. It's not about chucking, smoothies down our throat and doing the gym and building our stamina and doing all these races and things. Actually, food is for organic growth. It must nourish the organs. And that's where you want to bring the harmony and the homeostasis in order to keep a body that's in order and to weather the disorders, the sicknesses, the illnesses that we might be exposed to. So once we've got the nutrients supporting our organs, as I said, we can stay in order as far as possible, because we will shift, because we want to raise our awareness and deepen into consciousness harmoniously. And I just want to say at this point, the 365 Healthier by Choice toolkit of natural, unique, and pure nutrients in their natural state with the DNA intact will be received by the body's innate wisdom and put to work immediately. So that's what I've also prided myself in, is setting up a shelves of products. I think there's about 150 now, all geared towards different aspects of health. So now moving from our organic growth, support of the organs, the order, the disorder, the chaos, the reason for it all, I'm leading now to a point of discussing holism. So holism is more than just you or your body, or it's whole, it's unified. It's bringing all the parts together. So a unified world would be a world where east, west, north, and south are all together, all in one place. A unified health and well-being would be where we've unified the reductive biomedical model together with holistic healing and moved everything forward together, looking at the best of everything rather than a reductive, non-unified fields. So holism is about unification. It's about non-locality. The atoms are everywhere. That's the subconscious. So when we're working with the epics or the skio device, we're working with the subconscious, which can be anywhere in the world. I can link up to anyone anywhere in the world because the subconscious is everywhere. We don't know that because we're not taught it, but we're talking about it now. So the superconscious is also in the unified consciousness field. We're talking about non-linear healing, non-verbal healing, a non-verbal space where it's a knowing. Once you know, you know. And it's definite. It's not either or maybe the other one. That's this brain. When you know, it's definitive because we've gone into the inner wisdom, the inner child, the quantum field of wisdom. So that is holism. I don't know if you tick the box here. I don't know if you think you're holistic, but, unlock your inner wisdom so that we can start becoming inclusive. That is compassion. When you can sense compassion, you're in an inclusive state. You can get into the shoes of someone else. And if you find you're not, and there's a bit of discomfort regarding your views on holism, holism means acceptance of all. So do you accept all? Or do you have an arrogant approach to certain things, certain people? If that's the case, we've got to encourage self-awareness and dispense with the mental constructs. You overheard a parent saying something and you're stuck as a mental construct. You've lived it your whole life. And these people keep coming in your way to waving flags for you to surrender to things and resolve these unwanted thoughts that aren't getting us anywhere. So when you've done your self-awareness, you can offer yourself, your family, your organization so much more. So allow yourself to operate from the internal space outwards as opposed from outside inside. And that is holistic and that is organic. And I just want to draw you to a word that the Chinese use called Ouija, because within a crisis, there's danger and opportunity. It says that in the midst of chaos, there's also opportunity. There's two meanings, danger and opportunity. Can you see the duality sitting here? The sadness and the joy exist together. The danger and the opportunity exist together. The resistance is where we need to work on to raise our awareness and our consciousness. And as I said, duality is inclusion, looking at both sides of it, all emotions. Then we're going to achieve compassion, love, EQ. So other things about safety and vulnerability, some people, really battle to share the safety and vulnerabilities within us. And sometimes we don't want to share that even with ourselves, with our partners, relationships, our children. And it's good for us to feel that vulnerability within because it raises our self-awareness. And awakening to it can be a good thing for you or your business or your department. And it allows us to learn compassion, which is unified field, which is duality, understanding. Before you react and judge, learn to take a time to walk in the shoes of someone else. Why is that person saying what they're saying, doing what they're doing, thinking what they're thinking? Get into their shoes compassionately. Then you're not blaming, judging, or reacting. You won't. Most people are focused on survival and they see everything as a threat and it's flight or fight all the time. But once the family or the work team has worked on compassion for one another, then the workplace is safe or the family is safe to expose vulnerability. So where's your handbrake? I know where mine are and I work on it every day, 24/7. I'm in permanent reset. Why wouldn't I be? Because I want to use every opportunity that comes to learn. raise my consciousness, deepen into a self-awareness, self-transformation. Not everybody's like me, I know, but I mean, that's me. I'm passionate about it because as I do that, I'm more free. I think more clearly. I live more productively in all areas of my life. So I like to walk my talk, but lift the handbrake, go engage into neutral. Just go with the flow, go downhill. Develop some inertia to get up that hill and down the next valley. So take advantage of the opportunities that you've set up yourself anyway. And with the company meeting expectations, family expectations, put yourself first. It's a selfless thing. Meet your own personal expectations first. Give your best. This requires a selfless point of view. How can you give your best when you're not giving to yourself first? And here we come across the Mackenzie HIELO Quantum Wellbeing Compass, and this is what has evolved. And this is then the journey that people come to me for, whether it's a holistic business orientation rework, or it's a holistic ancestral individual purification. And it follows my normal reset, restore, rejuvenation, and rejoice steps. And it's an iterative process. We enter into the compass, the framework, again and again and again. And that is, I said to you, that is my permanent reset. I'm resetting physically, neurologically, emotionally, and spiritually in a holistic way. And we benchmark our assessments. I've got the NASA EPIC SCIO devices, which are FDA approved, validated, and verified. And it's so interesting to look at the measurements. So somebody will come in for a physical assessment, and they will then follow some of the 365 Healthy by Choice products. They will make changes to their lifestyle, to stresses, to detoxification, nutrition, stress, emotions, and do a HIELO process. I mean, a holistic ancestral orientation process. And when we measure before and afterwards, you can't believe the change. We can measure heart coherence. We measure the brain amplitude, love, harmony, the neurotransmitters. They go up immediately. The charge of the body improves immediately. The serotonin levels, the happiness hormones lift. The dopamine levels lift. The will to do things. The adrenaline and cortisol levels drop, indicating lowered stress, which means the sympathetic nervous system is coming down and balancing more with the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's a really unbelievable position to be able to suggest to people to take some products and physically purify and do the holistic ancestral orientation, leading to the business orientation, because it's all unified, and observing and measuring researched information, devices, products. That is evidence-based medicine. So I really think that I live that, and I've brought it to real practical experiences for people. It's incredible. I mean, the amount of things that all I'm saying is the release of emotions and toxins in the body is absolutely measurable. It's spot on. The people will tell me I can see it and I can measure it. Wow. So, we're getting to the root causes all the time. If the tire's got a nail in it, we remove the nail. We don't put a bandage over. With the live blood analysis, plus these quantum devices, plus working with the 5 elements, we really are able to pinpoint and nail issues. And I'm learning every day. I'm far from there yet. So once we've accepted the changes, we've made those changes, and we work then with the inner alchemy, with the products and the emotional release. And then it's a reassessment, and we keep going through the cycle. Some people will go through 3 cycles with me. Some will go through 6. Some will go through 1, and I'll see them again in a year or 2 years. It doesn't matter. Each encounter, each contact, people are shifting. And yeah, that's our benchmarking with the devices and getting to the root cause. And I always say to people, what are you prepared to start doing to begin to heal? And that's always an important one. And this is an interesting slide too, because they're looking at the mental states of disorder, the diagnosis. So you can have a look at all of these mental disorders, if you like. And it's interesting because depression is now 40% of all diagnoses. That is terrible. And it starts with anxiety, leading to sadness and depression most often. And I believe it's going to increase because that's what the research is telling me. So it's all very well making these diagnoses: childhood behavioral disorders, mental disorders, pervasive developmental disorders, bipolar, schizophrenia, alcohol, drugs, anxiety. But where are the main root causes? And here, this is a very important slide here, because the original epigenetic and generational patterns are the root of trauma. They are the root of your dis-ease in your body. And these are experiences that occur at gestation, birth, or childhood. And they manifest in repeated mental constructs throughout your life unless addressed. And we're just going to repeat those patterns and not learn from our mistakes. Why haven't I learned this? Why haven't I learned it? Because you set up the construct again. But there's no one to help you and show you and point it out and make you aware and free you from it. Even if you are made aware, who's going to free you from it? So at the sanctuary here at the 365 Healthy by Choice Center, that's what we pride ourselves. We see the miracles on a day-to-day basis. And it's up to the individual. You are the physician. It's your journey. We can only guide and educate. So that's where we're looking right at the root cause beyond the physical. And we see a lot of disconnection, which leads to dis-ease and disorder. So holding on to the childhood trauma is going to create more upheaval in your life. People like living according to their label, all these labels, and they believe that this explains everything. Jane, I'm saying really. And they live it. And it becomes their story, and it deepens their construct day after day after day. How are you going to get well if you're living your construct, believing your construct, remaining unaware, remaining unconscious? So we've got to help people become aware. And there's lots of deficit disconnects, like nature. How many people get into nature? How many people have disconnects with people and relationships? I had a lady come in the other day and said to me, Jane, I don't like people. I want to kill them. And, respectfully, I'm honored because she was able to tell me this. But I mean, that's her construct. So there's work to do. She's got a people disconnect. It's going to have emanated from gestation, birth, or childhood, whilst the generational pattern was there in the first place. And that's where we go, and that's what we clear. Food disorders, food disconnects, many. Too much food, too little food. Truth and morality disorders, that's why we're ill. Until we tell the truth in a coherent way that resonates with our body, that is the truth, we will be in disorder and we will experience dis-ease. Responsibility and ownership of our disconnect, of our disorders. Let's find them, let's understand them, and let's own them. And things like blame disorder. So we all fit into this from time to time, and we can recognize it and pull ourselves out of it. So change what you can and leave what you can't. It's fine. That's okay. But what are you prepared to give up? So the earlier slide said, what are you prepared to start to heal? And what are you prepared to give up to heal? Are you going to stop cooking with oil at the stove? Are you going to start going within? Are you going to stop judging people? Are you going to stop reacting? Are you going to love yourself first? Those kind of things. And when we look at the alchemical purification with the 365 Healthy by Choice products, I've done a little summary there. We're covering such a broad spectrum of areas of disconnect, dis-ease, disorder. Immunity, genetics, nourishment, the minerals, the almost gold, the proteins, the life probiotics, minerals, vitamins, phytosterols, the wonderful 30 plus nutrients in the brain fuel and the stress defense smoothies or capsules, the cell oxygens, the DMSOs, and then of course getting back to the organs, the detox of the organs. So we're feeding the organs and we're detoxing the organs and systems, by the way, because it's all coherent. So as I said, these nutrients are in the natural state, the quantum state, meaning that they're going to work physically, emotionally, neurologically, and spiritually. Food state, plant-based. And I just put some out here. Some of these are our top ones that, for organ support. Almost gold, the gold, silver, copper, nickel. You can't beat that. There's nothing on earth, gold anything or silver anything that's at this level. It's the M state level. Probiotics, there's over 80 live strains. Stress adaptogens, we've got 5 in there. And then the flaxseed oil, well, that's just cold pressed and boxed and sent straight to 365 Healthy by Choice. It's pure, it's dynamic. And here are the top superfoods. I've talked many, many times before, but this is what we need to be focusing on, because these foods develop our organs, develop our consciousness. They're evolving with the earth. And our lovely smoothies that I spoke to you about with the over 30 nutrients. And then the detox of the organs. You see, there's major ones here. Liver, lung, gut, kidney, skin, lymphatics. Detox the calcium, detox the protein buildup in the lymph, detox the fat, detox the degenerative tissues in the body, cells in the body. And that's just repeating the holism. And then moving also to the inner alchemy, where we're talking about the two major steps here. The holistic ancestral orientation and the holistic business orientation. And this is where, as I say, people can't believe the shift. They cannot believe it. They never knew that the kind of peace existed. And so this is what I've spoken about. This brings us back into order at a higher level of consciousness. All right, and these processes will, in conjunction with the 365 Healthy by Choice products and our assessments that we do, raise consciousness, raise awareness. So I urge you to book, I urge you to clear. We've got a solution here, and you do the work. It's not, my involvement is not there. You're doing the self-transformation. In fact, you're doing everything. I'm just putting things in front of you that you're choosing. So the holistic ancestral orientation will work with the emotion, find the origin and clear it. Your benefit is freedom, joy, peace, love, happiness, harmony. And I put in here, when your body speaks, listen to it. And that's a very deep statement, because we ignore. And what happens is the knock gets louder, and then it ends up in chronic, irreversible sometimes. And then what you're going to do, you're going to wish you'd listened. So what starts happening, and I see it, is there becomes an identity crisis, because suddenly people are being forced to look in the mirror, the internal mirror, and see who they are. People don't want to go there. And they're scared about what they're going to find. So this realization can be quite scary for some people. But with the HIELO quantum well-being compass, with the reset that we put into place, we don't have this. It's fun, it's joyful. Yes, you may release and cry and feel that sadness, which is a good thing. It's good to feel it. It's good to observe it and let it go. But the resulting rejuvenation and rejoice is just really on another level. So it's a continual raising awareness, raising your discovery of self, your own transformation, and just reaching higher levels of freedom and consciousness. And we all have the ability to do this. So the measurements to improvement, well, I've spoken already. We measure serotonin levels, dopamine levels, adrenal levels, cortisol levels, the charge of the body, it goes up, the brain amplitude, happiness, harmony, love, neurotransmitters increases, the resistance to flow, the blockages, the toxins, the parasites leave. This is all inner alchemy. And the body's, the cell's ability to absorb water, to absorb oxygen, the cellular vitality around each cell, the pH of the body, moving towards alkalinity. These are all measured, absolutely measured by FDA-approved, validated, verified devices. So, often a comment is, I never knew I could feel such peace and have such energy. Again, it's called evidence-based medicine, and we're restoring harmony and homeostasis to the body, mind, emotions, and spirit. The testimonies are huge, and a summary of the testimonies would be that people say, I recognize that the external threats and stresses I was facing were my inner threats and stresses. So this could be a CEO of a global company, a multinational company. It could be two people in business together, somebody self-employed. And, it's as within, so without, and vice versa. So there's clues everywhere for us. And I've had lots of success working with the holistic business orientation. So I just want to say, though, we do our holistic ancestral orientation on an individual self level first, because it's no use moving into holistic business orientation release when you're still sitting with lack of self-worth, because how are you going to manifest if your inherent construct isn't released? So if I'm doing a group of the C-suite or a management group, we will individually clear our emotions, and then as a group look at the emotion that the group are carrying in the business, for example, or in the family. And I've got unbelievable examples of family, but let's just stay with the work. So once we've cleared individually, we can then work with the business and look at opportunities, look at Uberizing the business, look at investments for the business, look at new products, new services, because in the field, it's definitive. In the quantum field, it's not here. Here will be either or, maybe this or maybe that. It's confusing because it's judgmental, it's emotional. In the still calmness of the heart and the gut is where we get the definitive answers. The body tells us. It's not difficult. So we're getting lots of results there, and businesses know where to put, what areas to spread their budget and what to do first. So that's a huge one. And then translating that to individuals the same. Young children can come in, Jane, I don't know whether I should go this route, or this route. Well, we clear the emotion first, and then we test in the field. You see, so we're using the holistic ancestral orientation and the holistic business orientation, or investment orientation, or career orientation, to very good effect. And I mean, there's no tricks here because your body and you are doing it. So as I said, lots of testimonies there. And just to talk a little bit about dramatic effects here. I mean, very soon, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight, metabolic disorders, pain, inflammation, severe chronic diseases, degeneration are measured and valid. So that, I think, is testimony to our results. But it's up to you. I'm only as good as you. So that's the decision. Physician, heal thyself. So I've got the iceberg here with the obviously underneath the iceberg, it's just as above, so below, but we've got the high, low in the back. That's where the high, low comes from. And it's also a play on the high and the low, balancing the high and the low. So I think it's all coherent with what I'm saying to you. And this is very important here too, because if you're looking at this from a business perspective, or even a relationship perspective, people who've done the inner work are able to give so much more. Because if you're stuck with your handbrake up, you can't give. And you can't actually expect people to give to you either. So once the physically and mentally healed, people have learned to put themselves first, selflessly, work on the emotion, and respond to the body when it speaks. And they're the ones that will fulfill their work expectations, family expectations, and live their life well. And they've let go of the inborn mental constructs created by childhood traumas, which are now resolved. And I've got a 13-year-old child who came with 2 big degenerative areas, failed chemo. And this is all resolved now, surrendered to. And honestly, I did her with the obviously physical purification, the parents and her with the holistic ancestral orientation clearing, and even Granny. And you can't believe the shift. You absolutely can't believe the shift. And it's very, very celebratory and astonishing. And, to look at this really as a miracle. So these kind of people that have gone through their learning, understood and raised their own self-awareness, deepened into consciousness. Those are the people, the mature people, sitting in their heart and their gut with humility, compassion, that can give so much more. And they're doing it because they're giving to themselves first. And that's our first step of learning. So here you can fulfill your family and your organization expectations when you are fulfilled, when you've raised your EQ, when you've experienced compassion and you've achieved coherence in your heart, gut, and brain. And that is the secret to self-awareness and self-transformation. So I'm inviting you to the Mackenzie HIELO Quantum Wellbeing Compass and to participate, achieve your freedom, raise your self-awareness, self-transform, deepen into your consciousness, think clearly, and live productively in all areas of your life, 365 days a year. I thank you. It's been an honor to present this information to you. And let me know if there are any questions. And I will see you next week. Thank you.